Hello YouTube, Siegfried Trelane here. I know it's been a while since I made a video, so I do apologize. It's always busy here, moving up to 6 days a week, just had a kid, quite busy now. But there's been a debate going on. I've seen a lot of it in forums and being asked a lot, and I really wanted to kind of give my own 2 cents on it. But before I did that, I wanted to just make sure that nobody, like kind of to protect my own self. First of all, this is my own opinion, so if you take my opinion personally, I can't help that. Just remember, this is my opinion. Do with it what you want to do with it. You can ignore it, you can take it, which personally really is not going to affect me. But before I go into this, I want to just give my background a bit. I have been playing the Final Fantasy games forever. I started with Final Fantasy IV. Absolutely love that one. It's still honestly one of my all-time favorites just because it's the first one I played. I've gone back and I've played 1 through 7. I've gotten almost to the end of 8, but after playing 3, never could really get into 8 that much, just because it felt like a rehash of 3 to a point for me. And then of course 9, I got to disc 3 numerous times, had my file erased, and just ended up saying, screw it, I'm done. So I do have really good experience with them. I really love them. They're actually still my top. They're in my top list of favorite games. Square Enix is probably by far my favorite developer because while games such as Mega Man and Castlevania are also on my list, sadly I can't say that I favor Konami too well, nor do I really favor Capcom a bunch. Capcom's fine. It's a good game, but they also have a history of releasing stuff that's not great. Anyways, what I want to talk about though is the toxicity in Final Fantasy XIV. Now, Final Fantasy XIV was my first MMO I truly immersed myself into. I didn't play any other MMO really. I tried WoW a couple of times for like, I think the max I could play was an hour before I was like, okay, I'm bored now. And it just never spoke to me. I mean, I found it boring. Mostly because I never had anyone to play with. I was playing by myself, and everybody I knew that played the game was already max level and wasn't even able to help me. So I was stuck doing a level grind by myself in that game. So while I did end up going back to WoW for a bit and actually getting much better at it and understanding how to play it, I will say that Final Fantasy XIV was my first truly immersive MMO that I really got into, really hardcore leveled, and really started playing. And I started playing Final Fantasy XIV since the closed beta, and since the game actually officially released. I started on PS3, which anyone who remembers PS3 was absolutely horrible. Then eventually I did move to PC. So I've been in this game for about 6 years. And I always hear how there's no toxicity in 14, or there's very little toxicity in 14. 14 is a great community, blah, blah, blah. Okay? That said, but then almost in the same breath, it's always about, we're not like WoW. Which is, in and of itself, kind of a toxic phrase for anybody who is a big fan of WoW. Because you're insulting something they enjoy. And yeah, they might enjoy 14, but they probably enjoyed WoW and have a lot of good memories of it. So, before I really go into toxicity in Final Fantasy XIV that I personally have seen, and kind of explain why I consider toxicity, I want to, first let's talk about WoW's toxicity. I think WoW's toxicity is pretty much the most common toxicity you see in multiplayer games. Because to be honest, every multiplayer game has toxicity in it. Call of Duty, Fortnite, any of the games that you're going to be playing with other people that you honestly probably don't know is going to have toxicity. You're going to have racial slurs thrown out. You're going to have sexist slurs. You're going to have a bunch of crap coming from people because, well, there's a lot of ignorant-minded people. But to be fair, in WoW's defense, a lot of the people who claim how toxic WoW is, I don't think ever played WoW, and are only saying how toxic it is from things they've heard on forums. and don't understand that the toxicity of WoW didn't really come from dungeons often or just playing the game. It came from raids. For example, I never dealt with a toxic player when I had a group I was playing with unless I pugged a raid. Usually an LFR or something, or I was trying to learn something. Then people, I got one where people just didn't explain they were doing a different strat, so I went with the pug strat. Didn't explain at all what their strat was, and then I got cussed out, called a bunch of names, and then kicked from the party. And it was like, dude, the F? Yeah, that toxicity happens in in-game content. I've been yelled at in dungeons and WoW, but that was, to be honest, mostly because I went as a tank and I had no idea how to tank. I didn't even know what a tank was. I was like, oh, I like this class, I guess I'll play it. So, but in dungeons, it wasn't really to go kill myself. It was either learn to play the game or uninstall it. And I think the big issue is with dungeons, it's really, you never know who you're going to get paired up with. You might get paired with somebody who's higher than you or lower than you, level-wise. So if you get with somebody who's higher level than you, they've been playing the game for a while, they tend to have less patience, usually. So WoW's toxicity is just more of an aggressive, toxic play race. And again, you're not going to really hit it unless you're doing the end-game content. Not to say that you also have other toxic players that might come on and are going to insult Final Fantasy 14. And yeah, I mean, I heard, it came to my attention that, WoW, they're insulting Final Fantasy 14. Well, of course they are. But think about it. WoW's been top dog for years. And they've been kicked off their pedestal. Of course they're going to talk shit because they're threatened by Final Fantasy 14. Okay? It's going to happen. They're threatened by it. But when we talk crap back, it shows our lack of confidence in our own product that we are supporting. It shows our own lack of confidence in Yoshi P and this group that he's working with. And I think that when we complain about WoW, it speaks more about us. There's no reason for us to be fighting with WoW. A WoW player comes here, we shouldn't be like, oh no, they're here to invade us. No. Because if you think one WoW player who joins this game with intent to bring it down is going to successfully bring it down, that's wrong. What's going to bring it down are the DDoS attacks and hackers. And I would not be surprised to find out that some of the DDoS attackers are WoW fanboys who just want to damage this game. But, does that speak for all WoW players? No. Because there's a lot of WoW players, including the producer of this game, who used it and had his team play it to properly research how to make a successful American MMO. So I think that's the first major toxicity I see in F14 is the constant attacking of WoW and WoW players. Just because somebody comes from WoW, if they have an opinion that differs from most of the Final Fantasy 14 fanbase, they should go back to WoW. No. They should have a right to say their own opinion. That's what we pride ourselves on as a good community. Well, then we should also pride ourselves as a community that's going to listen and accept the feedback. The producer does. Why can't we? Why do we have people that are going to immediately jump on the go back to this game? Like seriously, what good is that? I remember in Scott Zone, I was watching Scott Zone's Eden one, and there's a lot of good advice just saying, hey man, if you don't like that, look forward to this. Look forward to this. Try this. Give it some time, maybe you'll enjoy it. That's the type of feedback we need to be replying with. And I really wish that more people would do that. I wish most of us did that. But that's only the aggressive form of toxicity in Final Fantasy 14, and to be honest, it's not as abundant as it is in other games. I think the major form of toxicity I find in this game personally is passive-aggressive toxicity. And to explain that better, toxicity is anything in the game that poisons the game, thus making it an unenjoyable environment for people to play. And that could be anywhere from just, maybe you're not calling a person a bunch of names, but harassing somebody for a macro, which I had happened just the other day. I got harassed non-stop for this tank macro I used, which was literally just said, provoking target. No sound effects. And I got harassed for the entire allied raid for it. And the things that, like, being called out was a bad tank, and this and that, and this and that. The players have no idea who I was. They have no idea the savage content I can do. But I got harassed for a macro. And then I got rescued into death. During the Ammon fight, I got rescued out of protection. Now, this is a form of toxicity that we tend to turn a blind eye to, but it's very abundant. It's very abundant. And the other thing I've noticed is that many players love to ignore it when it happens. This happens and they ignore it. They pretend nothing is wrong. And that bothers me because I think that's part of the problem. So many times in dungeons I've seen somebody getting harassed and nobody says a word. We claim that we're this friendly, great community, yet when we see somebody being bullied, our response is deal with it, grow up. And yeah, to a point I think that's true, but to a point I also think it's important that if somebody starts crap for no apparent reason, we call them out on it. We get rid of them. Get them out of that raid, get them out of that dungeon. And too often I see party finders, well, they'll get somebody, like I had a party finder where I had literally done nothing. The guy joined in, looked me up on logs, saw that I hadn't cleared it. God Kefka. And then continued to attack me on my logs and how bad my DPS and how crappy my tank I was. We hadn't even gotten in the fight yet. We hadn't even been inside. And we were doing a Tsukuyomi X farm, which nothing like God Kefka. And the party leader did nothing about it. I had joined before this guy, and the party leader just stood there, nothing. Oh, just ignore him. We claim that we have this great community, but I see this way too frequent. I see way too many people who are willing to ignore things just because they want to get this. I can honestly say for me, I don't deal with that. If I have something like that, I'll just kick them. I don't care if they're the top healer on the server. They're out. Because I don't want to deal with that. And, that's something, it's just like, if we're this great community, why are we quiet when we see that happen? And then why do we go on the forums and claim, oh, no, this is a great community, there's no salt. I know most of you guys have seen something like this happen. And if you sit there and say, oh, that never happens, no, that's ignorance. That is straight up ignorance. The other part of toxicity I want to talk about is just the carrying toxicity. And I think that's the major difference between this and WoW. Yeah, WoW had aggressive toxicity, but you know what that did? It kept people from wanting to be carried. Because they wouldn't deal with it. And I see way too many people not wanting to be the bad guy, willing to carry somebody. And I don't, depending on the fight, it doesn't matter if you're a carry. But if you put up a farm party, and again, these are all things that have happened to me. If you put up a farm party and list it as farm party, this was a Titania farm party, Titania X farm party, and then I go to the fight and I see there's a new person, yeah, that's a little messed up because number one, we weren't informed on this. It wasn't, hey, I'm open to Frank and clear. So immediately I'm upset, but I'm like, you know what? Whatever. Let's see. Let's see how it goes. And we wipe to the face, which is where everybody wipes and they don't know the fight. So the group that I jumped into and wanted 5 other people to carry them. Another party leader cleared it, so maybe he could clear it, and that makes it that's 7 people. Sorry, 6. That's 7 people clearing it, carrying this one person. Again, if it was, hey, my friend's new, whatever. I'm down for that. Like, oh yeah, I'll help you. I got time, I can help. But when you put something with a farm party and then sneak in that person who hasn't that clear, that's a little messed up. And even after that, I still gave it a shot to see, okay, well, maybe they're at a clear thing, and I don't want to be too elitist on this. Which brings us to our next term, elitism. In this game, this community has done a really good job of pretty much labeling anybody who doesn't want to carry people as an elitist, or anyone who's ahead of people an elitist. And I've noticed that most of them don't even know what the term elitist means, nor what an elitist player is like. So I want to kind of clarify that a bit more. If I don't want to carry you through a Tsukuyo, through a Titania X fight, that's not me being elitist. That's me not wanting to carry somebody. Okay. If you know the fight and you've been to Enrage, I'll take you. If the rest of the party's okay with it, I'll take you. But if you've never touched the fight, I'm not going to take you. You can be one of my you can be one of my friends that plays this game. I'm not going to take you. And I have refused to take my friends who didn't know the fight. So it's like, dude, I'm not going to put that stress on other people. It's not fair. If you join my fight and I look you up on logs, and it's like, oh, dude, you're not in the top 10 percentile. I'm not taking you. That's being elitist. Being elitist is when you expect your members to be the top 10% because you want the world's fastest clears and you just want to get them boom, 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 boom. That's elitist. That is where the definition has to be changed. That is where we need to understand what this means. I've been called elitist so many times for things that are absolutely asinine. I've been called elitist just because I cleared a fight before somebody else. Like, you're elitist. What are you talking about? I take people through Titan Armor all the time. This was back in 2.0 when that was difficult. Just because you like this game and you play this game and you get good at this game does not make you an elitist. It just makes you really good. An elitist is going to be somebody who's looking up your logs and seeing if you're the top 10 percentile. And if you're not, piss off. That's elitist. So let's make that very abundantly clear, because that needs to be, people need to stop calling people elitists in this game just because they don't want to carry somebody. Another part of the carrying comes to just leveling dungeons. I cannot count the many leveling dungeons I get into where I have somebody where I'm noticing that either the tank's HP is extremely low, or the heals are really weak, or the DPS is really slow. So I check gear, and I find out that their gear is not nearly where it should be for the dungeon we're running. For example, I had one where we were in, I think, the 73? I think it was the 73, no, the 69 dungeon, sorry. We were in the 69 dungeon with somebody who didn't even have the full 270 gear, or the 290 gear. They were still using 4.0 gear, tome gear. Which again, makes no sense because you can easily buy up gear, and by the time you hit the level that guy hit, he should have the gear to buy up that class. With tomes. I had a tank once in the level 51 dungeon who was running an I-90 gear. I-90. Again, you can get the I-135, 130 really easily. I had a tank running in Temtar Deepcroft, running in the Werewolf Transmog gear, because he claimed he had no gear at all. Now, this is what I'm talking about. Why do we allow this to happen in the game? Are you telling me that when you jump to your roulettes, which personally I don't want to be in a dungeon forever, that you have somebody who has purposely not done what they should do to upgrade their gear, has taken no one in consideration that's going to be paired up with them? We should allow that? We should sit there and be like, oh, it's okay. If I go to pull, if I'm tanking and I grab my pulls and they're still alive after all my cooldowns are gone, the heals cooldowns are gone, they're not even near dead, I should be okay with that. I should have to turn around and pull small baby pulls because my DPS did not want to do their job, or my healer did not want to do their job and get their gear right. Anybody who's been leveling alts knows for a fact that it's not hard to get the highest base gear for the level you're at. If you're 50, it's not hard to get the Ironworks gear. If you're 60, it's not hard to get the Skaven gear. And if you're, is it Skaven gear? No, sorry, I think Skaven is a 70 gear. 60 is a different one. It's not hard to get that gear and get set up. So there's really no excuse for going into these dungeons with low level gear. So it's true, we don't have the aggressive toxicity that WoW had. That is true. But because of that, we have our own different forms of toxicity. Because to me personally, getting harassed in a dungeon for a macro, even if I'm not being yelled at, called a bunch of, not having, a bunch of names thrown at me, but being told how, having my macro mimicked, and then having someone spam a bunch of macros to make fun of me, and then pull me into death, and constantly talk about how bad of a tank I am, when they have no idea where I am, having my FF logs brought up, or having to run dungeons with somebody who has inadequate high level gear, so that we can't even run the dungeon normally, or having to go into a farm party to find out it's not a farm party. All of those, personally for me, ruined my experience in this game, and instantly pissed me off. I would not do that to another player. I would not be that rude, because it's rude. It's rude to go into something and expect other people to carry you because you didn't want to do what you were supposed to do, which again is very easy. If it's your main character, you have more than enough ability to get the gear you need. I mean, they drop your tomes for you through every single event you do. By the time you get to Heavensward, you have enough XP, gil, and tomes to go and get the correct gear you need. If it's an alt, you have your roulettes, which you should be running anyways. I love this game. I've been playing it for 6 years. And I do think that we do have a really good community. I don't know if we have the best community, but I will tell you that if you've not played this game and you're watching this video, this community will help you a lot. And there are a lot of people that will help you. But at the same time, we have to be able to help without carrying people anymore. Because every time you carry somebody through content, you carry somebody through something, it does have a negative impact on the game. We need to require everybody to pull their own weight and do their part. Because that is what makes a game last. If you can farm Innocence Extreme, you're not going to want to have to put up a farm party and have to risk getting 2 people that got carried and have no idea how the fight works. This was a big debate that was being discussed back when people were paying for the carries. Back then it was just gil, it wasn't actual money. Now they charge money for it. And those carries do damage the end game environment. Anybody can clear Titania Extreme, anybody can clear Innocence if they practice. And I think if you can get the clear, and you know the fight, then yeah, join a farm party. Most will take you. But don't just try to get an easy clear. Because then what happens is when you want to go clear it again, people are going to expect you to know it, and you don't. It's going to really ruins people's experience. So guys, let's stop claiming how Final Fantasy XIV has no toxicity, or has so little toxicity. Let's see it for the fact that it is. Let's not be so blind and ignorant to the truth. There's lots of toxicity in this game because there's a lot of things that poison this game. And unless we look at it and we see it for what it is, we cannot fix it. I want to fix it. I want those players who don't seem to think that it's important to have the appropriate eye level gear to get the appropriate eye level gear. I'm not saying that you have to have, what is it like? 270 something to run the levels, level up to 70. I'm trying to think of the actual gear number. Anyways, I'm not saying you have to have like the highest end gear from every dungeon, but if you're going to be leveling from 60 to 70, you should at least have the high end level 60 gear, and from 70 to 80, you should at least have the high end level 70 gear, and definitely 70 to 80 be upgrading your gear as gear drops every dungeon. Anyways, again, this is just my feelings on these things. I want to see this game succeed. I want us to be better, because I think we can. But I think we got to stop carrying people. And I think we definitely got to praise WoW for what it is. This is pretty much the successor to WoW, as the producer did use it to research this game. And we are seeing a lot of things in this game that people from WoW remember in their own days. And people from WoW are finally acknowledging it and coming in. So, if you are a new player, or you're looking to play this game, getting into a community is very easy. You can always find me, Siegfried Lane, a Vidgar Stormer, or you can find, almost any group. I'll also include a Discord link for anybody who's looking for a group to run with, as I have a Discord channel. You guys can come join us and have fun. I'm trying to build it back up more. Other than that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys all in Eorzea.